Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the crash course day 3. Woo, this is so exciting. I got to find my notes though. Okay, so just a reminder, if you haven't yet downloaded the workbook, we're on day 3 for God's sakes. Get in the student union. Pinned to the top of the page is the workbook. It includes sheets for you to take notes. I really want you guys to think of this as your go-to resource long after today. I encourage you to be taking lots of notes. Put your ahas, your takeaways in here, because I don't want you just simply filling in the blanks. I want you to get your thoughts down on these pieces of paper. That is what is going to really be meaningful to you down the road. Make note of any questions that you have. I have added my my Facebook, private message me. You can text me any sort of questions that you have. You can, please, I want you today to text me your homework. Yesterday, I asked you to text me or message me what one belief was keeping you or is keeping you from losing the weight. And I got so many great answers, you guys. Those are all thoughts. And I want to just give you a little insight into my back and forth with you. So if you're not used to working with a life coach, I want to just give you a little bit of context that it's a lot of me listening to you. My objective is to show you how your thinking is getting you your results. I don't think of myself as, the go-to for solving problems. I think of myself as a master in showing my clients their minds. That's what my job is. I can walk away from a session feeling really good if you have gotten some insight into how your thinking is making you feel, how your feelings are making you show up, how you're behaving from that feeling, and ultimately how it's driving every result in your entire life. So I do that by asking you high quality questions. I'm giving you the prompts. My overarching objective is to teach you how to self-coach so that you don't need me to prompt you. And it takes time, but that ultimately, if you're equipped with the self-coaching skills, your whole world will crack wide open. You can get any result for yourself. So the banter that's going back and forth between me and several of you who did send me your homework is me kind of taking you through a session via Messenger. Okay, so you might be looking at these questions like, what? Why would she ask me that? I'm really asking you that because I want you to think about it. I want you to process that question, and then I want you to supply me with another answer, okay? And ultimately what I'm doing is I'm taking you to the place where you can see how your thoughts are directly related to your results. That's the end game goal, okay? So if you haven't already, make sure you've got the workbook downloaded. Yesterday, day 2, we talked about the 3 pillars of weight loss. Now, today, we are going to break it all down and break down the fasting so that you fully understand that one main pillar of weight loss. It's a tool. And so I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that for you today. For those of you who don't know me or might be on Instagram and you have no idea what you've just walked into, I'm Tracy Plushcourt, and I am the CEO and founder of Self-Made You. My business is dedicated to helping people understand how to self-coach so that they can get any result from their life that they're looking for. I simply right now am just using weight loss as a vehicle to demonstrate how to self-coach. But if no matter what the result is, you can apply self-coaching to that, and you can see how your thinking is getting you your current experience. And then you can move that into an intentional model, and you can get any result from your life. But right now, we're specifically talking about a circumstance of losing weight, wanting to lose weight, get to a certain weight as the vehicle to learning that process. Okay, so what is fasting? Fasting is simply one of the tools that I incorporate into a protocol. Okay, I really want you guys to think of this as a tool. It is not the end all be all. It's simply one tool. Do you have to fast to be able to lose weight? Nope. It always depends on what the result is that you're going for. So I will supply thoughts and advice to my clients always based on what result are they looking to accomplish? What are they looking to achieve? So if maybe they're looking to balance out their hormones, I highly recommend incorporating fasting. If they're looking to lose maybe the last 5 pounds, but they have zero desire to understand fasting or incorporate fasting, maybe they have a strong understanding of it, then can you still lose weight? Absolutely. And I would say the other 2 pillars is what I would highly recommend incorporating. And we'll talk about those tomorrow and Friday. So the purpose of fasting within my program is really to open the door to becoming a fat burner or to becoming fat adapted. It's not the entire picture. It's opening up the door to the house. It's not the entire house. But it's very important to me to teach you how to become metabolically fit, how to become fat adapted, because we are a society that runs on sugar. We have an abundance of high sugar, high carb foods available to us. We've been told that we need to eat 5 times a day, which keeps our insulin spiked, which keeps us from ever becoming fat adapted. 12% of the United States population is metabolically fit. 12%. The other 88% are sugar burners. And being a sugar burner can contribute to things like chronic inflammation, chronic diseases, hormonal imbalance. It will keep you from losing weight. So it's super, super important that you understand the concepts behind becoming fat adapted, becoming metabolically fit. And fasting is one tool. The other 2 tools we'll talk about in the next couple of days. So I want you to understand some of what we do when we are learning how to fast is we track our glucose, we track our ketones, we track what we're eating so that we can get a bigger understanding of how our body, how fit we are metabolically. One of the things that we see through the patterns of tracking, gathering that data, is we start to see how much glucose, how much sugar is stored in your liver. And most of the people that start off in this program, they have really high glucose levels because they've been eating the standard American diet for a really long time. And when we have insulin constantly available in our blood, we then start to store fat versus burn fat. We start to store sugar in our liver. Therefore, when we're taking our blood, we see really high glucose numbers. And that's actually to be expected. And how you remedy that is through fasting. So there's other things that we can be informed of through that kind of data collection. We can also be informed of Maybe there is toxicity that we're being exposed to. You start to better understand the health of your organs, your liver, your gut, your pancreas. You understand if they're functioning or not. Now, this would be in conjunction with meeting with your doctor, doing bigger labs. But by gathering the information that we have available to us, it can start to inform us whether there's something else going on. Our gut, our microbiome, we can start to understand if our gut is healthy or not. And we can start to understand our stress levels. So through fasting, you really start to better understand yourself. I talk about Self-Made You as an education. I love the science behind all of this, but it really does boil down to an education in self. You get to know yourself so well. You get to know how you think, how you feel, and therefore how you react. And you get to see the science behind how your body reacts to a protocol that incorporates the one tool of fasting. So if you're looking at your worksheet, fasting is simply a manipulation of time to get you the result that you're looking for. So again, I always ask my clients, what result are you looking to achieve? That better informs me of what tools we need to apply. But I can promise you that incorporating all three of these tools is really cracking the code once and for all on how to get you to your natural weight. That's why I offer a guarantee in the program, and I can do that with a lot of confidence because I know that if you apply the 3 pillars, you will lose weight for sure. So when you tell me that I want to lose 10 pounds, I'll give you all 3 of the pillars. I'll equip you with that. We'll decide what we want, how fast we want to achieve that result. Fasting or extending the time in between our meals is a really great tool because it does so many other things outside of just getting you weight loss. So what isn't fasting? And I will say that there are so many sensationalized headlines out there. And like anything else, headlines are meant to get eyes on them. And so they often sensationalize it. And sometimes if you don't dig a little deeper beyond the headline, you might walk away fearful. So fasting is not disordered eating. It's not starvation. It's not a punishment, a form of punishment. Fasting is simply a way, a tool that you can use to get to your desired weight loss, your natural weight. It's a tool that will balance out your hormones. It's a tool that will bring your insulin levels down. A bigger picture, it will lift the brain fog. It will spike your energy. It spikes your human growth hormone. There's all sorts of long-term benefits to it. But that's what fasting is. There are so many different methods of fasting. And within my program, I love exposing people to the different methods so that we can eliminate any fear around it. Now, most of you know, because all of my marketing is centered around alternate day fasting, because that's what I do. And I'm very open about why I have chosen that. I'm all about simplicity too. I don't like to complicate anything. So fasting is the act of not doing something. It's so much easier to fast than to have to follow my protocol. So when I'm doing an alternate day fast, that means today I'm fasting, so I don't have to think about anything that I'm going to buy, prepare, eat, clean up with. Like, I don't think about any of that. And just think about how much time you put into those things. Like I get so much more time back. I become so much more productive on my fasting days. My mental clarity, my the sharpness of my mind on my fasting days is so different than on the days that I'm not fasting. So I really look forward to the days that I fast, and a lot of my clients who move into alternative day fasting tell me that same thing. So the different methods vary dramatically. So intermittent fasting, which you probably all have heard of, is defined as 13 to 16 hours without food. That's what intermittent fasting is defined as. You'll hear people talk about a 16-8 fast, which is talking about it in windows. So that would look like you are not eating for 16 of the 24 hours within your day, and you are eating for 8 of those hours. That's what a 16-8 would look like. Then you might advance, and as if you're in my program, we start with a no sugar, no flour fast. So we eliminate anything with sugar and flour. You still eat your normal meals that you would, or you eat at your normal times, but we eliminate sugar and flour. That's where we start. We also eliminate snacking in between meals. Then we move into a 16-8 fast. From there, we extend it by 2 hours. So then we move into 18 hours of fasting and 6 hours of eating. From there, we typically move to 1 day or 1 meal a day. That's, you might hear that called OMAD, and that just stands for OMAD, 1 meal a day. We then might move into a dinner to dinner. We might move into a 36-hour fast where you go in a complete day without eating. And then by the end of the 8 weeks, we try an alternate day fast. And it really gives you exposure into how your body adapts to that kind of protocol. Now, tomorrow we'll be talking about how we eat during our eating times, during our windows of eating, because that's a really important part of all of this. Yesterday, I talked about the precision of these 3 pillars. It's really important that we are doing everything in the right order, and that we have a strong understanding of what it is that we have to do. So I would love to know what type of fasting, if any, you've tried in the past. I think that like I said, I include no sugar, no flour as a type of fast. That is eliminating something, going without. It's the act of not doing, which again is so much easier than doing. We are a society that is based, it kind of defaults to doing things all the time, like eating, where fasting is simply the default is not doing it. It's so interesting. It's such a huge mind shift, but I want you to think about that, how that really simplifies things. Now, I know that there are a lot of you out there that have family responsibilities. Maybe you're the person who makes the meals. Maybe you're the person who grocery shops. So you're like, yeah, I can't just step out of that for a full day, every other day. Those are the kind of things that we talk about with my program. And I give you really helpful tips on how to navigate that. But that certainly does not mean that you have to eat the foods that you're preparing for your families. My hope is that you understand the science behind what I'm teaching you, and you realize that feeding high sugar, high flour foods to your family is not a good thing. You know, of course, you love yourself to make changes. You love your family the same way. And I would hope that you educate them into a different way of eating, a different way of thinking and feeling about how they eat. So your homework for today is to tell me how many of you have tried fasting in the past. Have you ever eliminated snacking in between your meals? Have you ever eliminated sugar and flour from your diet? Have you tried the 16-8 fast? Have you ever tried an alternate day fasting? Now, on the days that I am fasting, today is one of those days. And my husband, he moves out in and out of alternative day fasting. Today, he is fasting as well. So it makes it so much easier. We're empty nesters. So I love sharing a house with somebody who is aligned with the way I eat. It makes it so much easier. And that's why in my program, I invite you to invite a family member into the program. So it, of course, doubles your value, but I'm doing that very strategically. A, I want to touch more lives, but B, I want you to have that built-in support under the same roof. Super, super helpful. So today, I know I'm going to be highly productive. I know my mental state is going to be really sharp because my insulin levels are low. My hormones are balanced out. I am fat adapted because I have been doing this for several months. So I actually look forward to these days. And what do I drink? I drink coffee, tea, a lot of water. It's super important to stay hydrated on your fasting days or during your fasting windows. I incorporate a little bit of salt into my water because I want to make sure that I avoid any sort of electrolyte imbalance. Often I'll incorporate bone broth as if I'm in a longer fast. Most of my fasts are 40 plus hours. So I'll fast an entire day and then I'll go halfway through the next day. So I like to incorporate bone broth in there. That too does a great job of balancing out my electrolytes. But that's basically what my day looks like. I have an abundance of energy on those fasting days. So I really try to, maximize the fact that I have that energy. I get outside. I go for walks. A lot of people will ask whether fasting reduces muscle mass. And when your human growth hormone is spiked, it actually promotes lean muscle. So that is a myth that is out there. If you are somebody who is into strength training and you follow some influencers in strength training, you'll see a lot of them will strength train while they're fasting. A lot of cardiovascular or athletes, elite athletes, will perform while fasting because they have an abundance of energy and they are thinking so clearly. So that's what my day looks like when I'm fasting. Now, tomorrow I'll break my fast at around 1 o'clock. And because I've been fasting for a number of hours, I will break my fast gently. I don't want to dive into a full meal because my digestive system has been sleeping more or less. And I will have adverse effects if I dive into a meal. So I recommend to my clients that you break your fast gently with just a little bit of fat. And it's a good quality fat. So maybe you add heavy whipping cream to your coffee. That's a great way to break your fast. Maybe a few cashews. Great way to break your fast. Some people they want this to be so simple. They just take a teaspoon of coconut oil or an MCT oil. Great way to break your fast. And then about a half an hour later, that's when you have your meal. You will get so much more better results. You never, ever, ever want to break your fast with carbs, especially refined carbs. Okay, that's going to spike your glucose, which then your pancreas releases the insulin. And if you're not fat adapted and it stays at a high level, if whatever you ate is high on the glycemic index, and then you follow that with foods that aren't fueling you, you will probably store fat versus burn fat. One of the biggest, I would say, mistakes that I see happen with people who are following the ketogenic diet is that they fall in love with the high fat aspect of it. And they're like, yeah, I can totally get behind this. I love bacon or I love sausage. But what they don't understand is high fat combined with high sugar or high carbs is a recipe for disaster. And those people end up gaining weight. So they might follow this protocol really well from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and they're feeling really good. And then they go to happy hour and they order up the beer and the chips and salsa. And now they've incorporated a high fat diet with a high sugar or high carbs. Carbs are just a chain of sugars. And your body does not burn fat when you have insulin in your blood. It stores fat. So you're doing the exact opposite of what it is that you've set out to do. So that is probably the biggest mistake that people make when starting the ketogenic diet. It's all about precision. So I give you the steps of how to build out a protocol that incorporates extending the time between your meals. It shows you exactly how to choose the foods that fuel you to eat when you are eating. And then I show you how to self-coach with precision. Those are the three ways, the three pillars that will successfully get you to your natural weight. I'm going to look and see if there's any comments. Yeah, a lot of people come into the program really nervous about fasting. It can be very scary. There are so many, like I said, sensationalized headlines out there that if you don't take that deeper dive to really understand what the science, what the research was, how they conducted it, or what they're really saying, you can't just go off of headlines. And you have to educate yourself. Let's see. Extended no breakfast. Great way to start, you guys. So you're always fasting when you're sleeping, right? If you're sleeping, you're not eating for an extended period of time. Intermittent fasting is really that 13-hour mark. And I highly recommend making that easy on yourself by extending the window on either bookend of sleeping. So you stop eating earlier, like maybe you move your dinner to 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon versus eating it at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. That's extending your fast, your normal fast, by 2 hours. A lot of people can go without breakfast. And so they choose to skip breakfast as a means of extending their fast, their sleeping fast. And even if you're a breakfast food lover, which is most of those foods do fuel you, have it at lunchtime. I drink a lot of water and bone broth, which is a part of my fasting protocol. Excellent. Yes to fasting. So much easier than trying to figure out what to eat, for sure. No sugar means no fruit at all. That's a great question. So when you're going through my program, the first 6 to 8 weeks, we really focus on becoming fat adapted. Now, I will go through what fruits are high in sugar, in natural sugars, and what would be okay to incorporate at least just one serving a day while you're becoming fat adapted. Ideally, I would like you to cut out all sugar, all flour. But if that is something you really enjoy, this is not an exercise of deprivation. This is an exercise of understanding how to build out a protocol that satisfies you for the rest of your life. So if you are somebody who loves berries, then I would say Allow for yourself to have 1 serving of berries a day. They are the best choice within fruit. Berries are lower on the glycemic index than most other fruits. I think green apples are pretty close. But there are a lot of sugar or a lot of fruits that are very high in sugar that I would recommend staying away from, at least during the 6 to 8 weeks that you're becoming fat adapted. All right. Any other questions? I think I've covered them all in here. Tomorrow, so today's homework is to just simply let me know if you've tried fasting, and if so, what was the protocol? What was the time that you engaged in fasting? Tomorrow, we are going to break down the foods that fuel you. That is the 3rd pillar of this program. Understanding what foods fuel you, and it's different for everybody, you guys. I give you a list of suggestions, and I want you to go out and try them and find what fuels you. What that means is what makes you feel good physically, emotionally, and mentally. Okay? Those are the foods that you will create a list from, and that'll be your go-to resource. And that, combined with extending the time between meals and mastering self-coaching, are the 3 keys to getting you to your natural weight. So if you want to learn more about my program, the next Stop Overeating program, it's 4 months. The first 2 months, we become fat adapted. The second 2 months, we go into the mastery portion. So we keep our finger on the pulse of your short-term and your long-term goals. But at the end of the 2 months of becoming fat adapted, I come back to you and I ask you, all right, what kind of goals are now on your radar? Let's talk bigger. Now that the brain fog has lifted and you're not so hyper-focused on losing the weight because we've already got to your short-term weight loss goals, let's talk about bigger goals. What else do you want to create for yourself? And we apply the self-coaching model to that, because I think that the more you can apply that model to, the better you will master, the quicker you will master this skill. So the next program starts a week from today. I am extending the same offer to you that I have extended to all of my clients, that you can buy one, get one, but it has to be somebody that lives in the same house as you. So it doubles your value, but it also really helps with the support. You can go to my website that is on the bottom. It's listed on the bottom of the worksheet, and then you /SOE. I am only taking 30 people in this next round for the next 4 months, and we've already got people signed up. So if you already know that you want in, go ahead and get signed up, and we will give you the next steps here shortly. So thank you so much for being here. I will look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. I'll look forward to getting homework from you. And tomorrow we'll break down what it means to choose food for fuel. Have a great day, you guys.